What's up, good people? Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody
Wednesday.
is doing awesome. So we got a full house today. It's me, your host, Nikki. We got Les. Say hi, Les. Say hi, Les. Kyle.
Hello, good afternoon.
We have Elena. And then we have our special guest, Cirilo McLaine. If you are on IG, you know him as Humidor Muse. He was on with us before, and he is back today to talk to us about his movement called unBANDit, and then to give us some good spirits to go with our cigars. So welcome, Cirilo. And I just want to say you got to hit me up because I saw you and Birdman was on live, and y'all was talking about the Drunken Chicken. That cigar brand. Number one, I didn't know it was a black owned one, so I'm trying to get my hands on some. But I need you to like send me, what your favorites are.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. So, I got a band on mine because it's not. I'm smoking a Cuban today, in your honor. So I am smoking the. I don't know if y'all can see it. The Romeo y Julieta, which everybody likes to call Romeo and Julieta, which is wrong. So I'm smoking the Churchill today.
Nice.
So what you sipping on, bro?
Believe it or not, this is just some juice.
What?
I'm on a third day of a 3-day juice fast.
Oh,
I do it every the beginning of every month. I do like 3 days, just nothing but juice, just
right.
to do a little cleanse every month.
Right. Well, I'm not. My pairing today is the 19 Crimes Uprising wine. This particular wine is aged 30 days in a rum barrel, and it is a very, very full-bodied wine. So for me, I don't want to smoke a full-bodied I don't want to smoke a full-bodied cigar and drink a full-bodied wine. That's just a lot. So I tend to go on the milder side when I drink something full-bodied like that.
Well, you pretty much don't drink full-bodied anyway.
They don't need to know that. And when I do, I get crunk. So,
Nottingham.
hey, You had to be there to know that story. That's no.
I'm just saying the name. I'm done.
Oh my God. So tell us about unBANDit and any progression that you've gotten with it.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me first.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, I appreciate you all having me back on the show. It was a lot of fun last time. I'm hoping this time it's going to be just as much fun, if not more. It's been, so I guess the last time we talked, it was the summertime, right?
Mm-hmm. Last year sometime. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I started doing the unBANDit movement to address the lack of participation in Black Lives Matter by cigar manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, like, nobody was on board. Nobody was like, "Oh, yeah, good for you. Let's go. You know what I mean? Except for our people, but for the most part, they did not, respond favorably. Since then, we've had a couple of people that kind of stepped up to the plate. I think the last time we talked, you had Ashton that had stepped out and said something about and did the Blackout Tuesday. Crown Heads was one of the companies that did a Blackout Tuesday.
They did? Oh, I know Crown Heads did.
So
okay.
I didn't either, and it kind of made me mad because I was boycotting Crown Heads.
I'm saying, and they got some bomb cigars.
I was boycotting Crown Heads before this unBANDit thing, but I had done a show with I don't know if you know Coffee J.
Is that the guy that be in the backyard that has his own podcast on IG?
On YouTube.
Oh no, I don't. Oh,
Oh,
I've seen your thing. I
okay.
don't know him, but I've seen you on there.
Okay, so yeah, I did his show, and we were talking about Underground because we were smoking the Mil Dia, and I was telling my story about Underground and why I don't really mess with them like that. And what happened was, John Huber reached out to me.
Really?
He was like, "Man, why didn't you just send the email?"
So for those who don't know, let people know who John Uber is.
So John Huber is the co-owner of the Crown Head Cigar Company. It's based out of Nashville, and he started with CAO back in the day. And once he left CAO, he created a company called the Crown Heads. And I had a problem with Crown Heads. Not initially. I love their cigars. I smoked it every time I got a chance. I mean, I smoked their brand, the Four Kicks, on the second inaugural address of President Obama. So it was one of my favorites. And then they came out with a cigar called the Mason Dixon, and I was like, no. No, and it made me start looking at the brand completely different all the way around, right? It's like, yo, you all really are kind of just teetering on the edge of too much for me, and so I stopped smoking them, and I wrote a whole long email, never sent it to John, and so I was telling this whole story on the other podcast, and John was like, "Hey, man. In retrospect, that was a terrible idea to name something the Mason Dixon. But he said he was basically doing it as a way of doing a north and south because Pete Johnson had the east and west.
Well, why not the blue and the gray or something like that? But anyway,
but I mean, he didn't have to respond to me at all, and he did. And he was basically saying, yeah, I blacked out. I did a blackout Tuesday, and I'll do it all again, even though I lost a lot of followers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he lost a lot of followers. Ashton lost a lot of followers. Most people, Epic did, they're a smaller company, but they did the blackout Tuesday as well. I love Epic cigars.
I mean, what's it? Dean is just awesome. So yeah, he's a good dude.
So, I mean, what I basically do is I just, unband all my cigars now just to make sure that, I'm not promoting companies that aren't in solidarity with us. And that's it. It's nothing more than that. I'm not trying to hurt them.
Right.
I'm just not going to promote them.
And that basically give them free publicity.
That's right.
Right.
And it's not that I'm so popular or anything like that, but I think my little part helps, and other people that do it as well, because you can be smoking anytime. Right?
Really, you're not that popular. See, come on, man. Really?
Well
really? You are well known in the cigar industry. Don't even try it.
Well, what I'm saying is, I don't know that my opinion would move the needle one way or the other. But it seems to be moving it somewhat. Tatuaje came. They took the back ad out of one of the, I think it was Cigar Snob, and they blacked out the back.
Awesome. See,
right?
So it is. I'm saying your movement, people are listening, and you got the hashtag, which is really popular on Instagram. So, you're making a difference. We got to crawl before we can walk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got Crown Heads, you got Ashton, you got, who did you just say? Tatuaje. That's great. You had a question? You had a question, Les?
I have a question. I know we talked about this the last time. It was the fall when you first came on. It wasn't
okay.
Last time. I know we talked about this the last time, and not playing devil's advocate, but maybe for the listeners, what's the difference in unbanding versus not smoking a particular cigar period? Is a preference? Some people would say it would be easier for us or for you just not to smoke the daggone cigar than for you to take a person's band off of it. It's like it's like buying Jordans and taking off the emblem. You know what I'm saying? They're still Jordans.
Right. Well,
Just want to get your perspective on it.
No, I think that's a valid point. I think that's a valid point. So the way that I see it basically is, um, trying to get these motion lights to cut back on. It got dark in here all of a sudden. Okay. No, the way that I see it is that I have a humidor full of cigars already that I like to smoke. And my palate is such that I'm not just willing to smoke anything, but I enjoy smoking cigars. And so rather than smoking something that I don't like, I mean, we're spending good money on these cigars. I'd rather just smoke what I like and take the band off. And but with saying that though, I do gravitate towards those companies that have stepped it up. I mean, right now, quite frankly, I have a Tatuaje Black right here, right? And it's because Pete did step up, and but this cigar right here, I mean, it's a smaller company and they haven't said anything, but it's a damn good cigar. So I just picked it up and I smoked it. So it's for me. I don't want to not smoke what I've already purchased. I also have a discerning palate when it comes to cigars, and I am not trying to necessarily say I'm boycotting the company. That's not what this is about. It's not about boycotting the company. This is just about recognition of the brand versus doing something to actually hurt the brand. So I don't know if that really answers your question.
It does.
Okay.
For those who believe that complete boycott, eradication, no participation in a particular brand is the way to go. I just wanted to get the balance. And I do understand. I mean, we like what we like. It's hard to boycott everything. But if the brands that you smoke are the brands that you like, if they decided to go to the extreme and, come out with a negative statement, regarding anything that goes against your best interest, go ahead. I'm listening.
That you hit the nail on the head. That would render a boycott.
Oh, definitely.
I mean that's why Gurkha never gets smoked anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it wasn't getting smoked anyway by me, but
right. But they came out with some dumb stuff out their mouth, and a lot of lounges even closed their accounts with Gurkha.
Yeah.
So that's money, and it was, you can't say ignorant stuff and expect to not have any type of repercussion. So when you have lounge owners canceling their accounts across the country, you messed up.
That's right.
And the only one I smoked from Gurkha was the Ghost anyway. Right. In the canister, not in the cellophane.
The Red Witch.
Quick question.
That part.
What is the percentage of Black people that smoke cigars? Do they contribute a great percentage to the industry? And has there been companies that have come out and made negative comments about Black folks or Black people and them not wanting Black people to smoke their cigars?
Is that directed towards me?
Anybody?
Okay, so yeah, I see it as we're 15% of the population, right? Okay. Roughly overall in the U.S. Of the cigar smoking population, we're probably between 20 and 30%.
Okay.
And that probably fluctuates, 10% here or there, I think that, of the cigar smoking community, which really is only about 3% of the population.
Right.
And there's a really small boutique-ish, subset anyway. But of those, we probably make up about 30% of the 20 to 30% of the consumers.
And I would say that the DMV has a very large, in my opinion, cigar population. I know the
Yeah.
DMV has the majority of Black women that smoke cigars. I've traveled. I've been to Vegas and other states, and I get looked at like I'm a unicorn because I'm Black. I'm smoking full body cigar. Well, first, I'm Black. I'm smoking, and then I'm smoking a full body cigar. They're like, "Oh my gosh," because you don't really see women, especially Black women, in other areas smoking cigars. So
Sure. I agree with that.
definitely. So I know Todd, you can attest to this because Todd actually owns a lounge in Texas. So he just said there are a shit ton of Black cigar smokers. Shit ton, actual unit of measurement.
A shit ton is triple a ton. So you got a ton, you got like a pissy ton, which is double, and then you got a shit ton, which is triple. Yeah.
So let's
Let
you
me ask
ask.
a quick question.
Yeah.
So for these types of cigars that we're talking about, I guess they're premium or middle of the road. How much can you expect to spend on one of those once you jump out of the lower class cigars?
It really depends on the brand. I mean, you've got Drew Estates where you can spend what you can start off spending about $5 and go up to what $50-$60. You know,
For the most part, you're looking at between $8 and $15.
Right, on average.
On average, about from $8 to $15. And the smaller the company, the higher the price generally.
Right.
So you have a small boutique company that only makes, let's say, 500,000 cigars a year, right? They will probably have their cigar right at $12, $13. But you also have a company that's well established, like a Padron, which makes excellent cigars. Especially their anniversary side of things, right? And that cigar might be $15. So you would think that the quality might be on par with the company that has the one for $12, but the reality is that we support the smaller company just for a different experience. Actually, we like small business as well, and then we want something that's a little changed up, So the price is really not always indicative of the quality or how long the company's been around or any of that stuff. It can be a lot of factors.
So Todd says, and we get more women like you, Nikki, than you could imagine. Real talk. Women like me, as far as what, Todd? Smoking or being crazy? I mean, because
probably both.
While we think on Nikki's craziness, I don't smoke at all, so I'm lost in this conversation. And today I'm sipping on water. So people like myself, I'm curious to know how can you tell if a cigar is a good one? Like how do you measure a good cigar? Like I can think, how would I measure a good wine or or other things, but how do you determine this is a good cigar, this is a cigar that I like?
Your palate.
Well, but as a reference point. As a reference point, you want to say let's use something basic like chocolate.
Yes.
Right? You got Hershey's, right? And then you got Godiva.
And Ghirardelli.
And then you have all these different ones above Godiva, below, and then above Hershey. But you have some that's below Hershey, which we didn't know was possible. But I mean, to me, that that's really kind of the tasting the nuances between those chocolates. It's the similar thing that we do when you say, Nikki, as cigar smokers, we do that same thing to really kind of distinguish the quality or what we're looking for in a cigar. And then sometimes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry. What I do is when I introduce people to cigars, I like to know what they like to eat and drink. And I guess because I've been smoking for so long, I get depending on what they smoke. I mean, depending on what they eat and drink, I can generally recommend a cigar that their palate would generally that their palate would be friendly to.
Mhm.
Because when we smoke, I don't smoke. Some people that's been smoking for a long time can smoke on an empty stomach. I don't do that. But
As I'm finishing up my juice fast and smoking.
but see, you've been smoking for a long time, and I've been smoking for 7 years. And wait, has it been 7? Yeah, 7 years, and I still can't smoke on an empty stomach. I'm trying to be like y'all, man. My boyfriend will wake up and light up, and I'm like, dang, you ain't gonna eat breakfast? And he was like, this is breakfast. So I'm like,
Wake and bake.
Sai says, what you eat and drink heavily influences your palate and the flavor of cigar. I do agree with that. What if we like to eat and drink everything? Foodie struggles. Well, if you like chocolate and coffee and things of that nature, then if you're a newbie, then I'm going to introduce you to a Drew Estates, either a Java or a Tabak, the espresso one, or a Fat Bottom Betty, or a Crazy Alice. So I think those ranges for someone who's new. And the reason I chose those is because they're infused, but you still taste the tobacco. As opposed to the acid line, which to me, they're too infused to me. And if you're going to be serious about it, I want the person to taste the tobacco and taste the leaf, because as they graduate and from the infused ones, I don't want their palate to go into shock like, oh my gosh, it tastes totally different. You know what I'm saying? So to me, those ones have more of a tobacco-y. You can taste more of the leaf and some of the infused. That's just, Hey Todd, I just got me a leather rose, bro. I haven't tried that one yet, and I wasn't sure. That's why I didn't say leather rose. So I just got one this weekend, so I'm excited to try that one. But that's, if you like coffee, tea, that type of thing, those would be the cigars that I would actually introduce you to.
Man, you guys make cigar smoking like, something. I mean, I've smoked a cigar before, the incorrect way at times and threw up, and the correct way, but just watching you guys, smoke these cigars is like, with everything that's going on with cancer and, tobacco, you guys still make it look good. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, this is the thing. You gotta offset, and you gotta be careful with anything you do, right? And there are risks to everything,
right?
And and to me, for the person who goes to Mickey D's and buys a Big Mac for lunch every day, I mean, but then they'll look at me and frown their face up and like, you smoking cigars? Like, hold up, look, you got more carcinogens in your body than I do from this cigar. Like, yo, like, let's really be real here. If you eating deli meat on a regular, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are things, and so I offset some of those things for me, right? Because I'm vegan. I'm vegan, and so I don't eat any animal products and things like that. And I work out fairly rarely. I mean, fairly often, rather. And so I do those to kind of compensate for my two vices, which is drinking and smoking.
Well, the other
does it make sense? Probably not. But I feel better about it.
But the thing is that this right here, this is all natural. There are no additives, preservatives. Nothing is added.
Doubt.
This is a leaf.
No doubt.
Okay, this is a leaf that is grown from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It is basically dried, and then they take other leaves, and they that's the binder and the filler, and they roll it all together. I mean, it's a little more, not complicated, but it's more than that. But that's what this is. So in cigarettes, there are over 4,000 chemicals in one cigarette.
Yeah.
So this right here, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like smoking weed. This is our weed. It's a natural.
Except we don't inhale it, or we will be early.
Oh, what? Oh, dang! There is no end. Yeah, you can't. So,
do you get highs from smoking a cigar?
Hell yeah!
Yeah, yes.
No. I wasn't saying. No, I wasn't saying that. No, I was saying it in excitement because I'm smoking one right now.
So listen. I would tell you, the fuller the cigar, the greater the buzz.
Right.
It's not like a high, like a weed high, but you do get a nice buzz, and especially
that mellow feeling.
Man, listen.
After a long day, you just like, oh man, you just kind of sit back and sink into your chair.
Oh yeah, see, Ty said, hell yeah. So it's like if you had a long day, somebody getting on your nerves. Let me tell you, you light up. You get you some good jazz.
Can y'all create a black Spasm cigar so we can get everybody that's listening to smoke a Spasm cigar?
Okay, so creating one is a little bit more difficult than that, because you want to have a master blender. Okay, you want to have a factory, preferably somewhere in Nicaragua or in Nicaragua, because they have the best tobacco. So it's a lot.
Dominican now. I mean, that's where we get our Davidoffs.
Right. But there's a lot that goes into making a cigar, and the FDA has not made it easy. So Todd says, and I smoke nothing but full body Maduros. Hey Todd, I'm with you, man. Listen, except for my Cubans, I gotta throw my Cubans in there.
Yeah, I don't smoke many full bodies anymore. That just burned up my palate.
You know what?
I'm
trying to get some other stuff in, because I'm finding too that my palate is kind of getting burnt out from the full body. So I got to go back to my mediums.
Right.
The medium range is where you find a lot of your flavors.
When you say burnt out, what do you mean? I mean, you just no longer like the taste of it, or it doesn't.
They all start to taste. To me, they all start to taste the same after a while.
That's it, pretty much.
Yeah.
You start picking it up on the nuances of it,
the different tones and stuff.
Yeah, and it becomes less enjoyable when you're doing it more out of just socially. Like, okay, well, I'm having a conversation. I'm smoking a cigar. You don't know anything about the cigar, and to me, most of the fun in it is really discovering and learning about the cigar, the manufacturer, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to stuff like that. So I just love talking about the plant and
Cirillo and I talk for hours about cigars.
Yeah, but this is not all the show is about. So I know. But you said something earlier. I don't know. Does everybody drink on right now?
Kyle drinks.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, socially, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about maybe pairing. Like, what do you really drink with a cigar? And I'm from the school that there are no rules, right? So I know some people like you shouldn't drink red wine cold. Well, there's some red wine I just like cold.
This is cold,
right? And so for me, the classic drink for a cigar generally it's kind of like Scotch, single malt Scotch. That's what a lot of people would drink with cigars. Anything like a Balvenie or Glenfiddich or something like that. They would drink that with cigars because of the nature of the peatiness of it and the brightness and a little bit of those things that kind of complement a Talisker that has like a little bit more of the peat notes or stuff like that. So, I mean, most people just enjoy the single malt Scotch. And also, it's kind of more the most luxurious of the drinks, if you want to say. So, you pairing your luxurious cigar with something luxurious to drink. And so, but that ain't necessarily the case all the time. Like, I like liquor.
We know.
What you trying to say, Nikki?
Hey Todd, DM me your email. I mean, yeah, your email address. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I have like a list of my favorites, right? So I got a bourbon list, I got like a rum list, like literally, and it's like more than 10 on each list. I'm not gonna say how much more. It's like maybe more than 30 on each list. But I'm not. So I pair according to my mood, like and I make a conscious effort of moving between different spirits and stuff like that. The one thing I've never really been able to pair with a cigar that well though is beer. I have a hard time pairing beer. No, I don't have a hard time drinking beer. I have a hard time pairing beer with.
Really? As much as Bird and all of them, with all them exotic beers that they drink?
Yeah, that ain't my lane there.
I'm not a beer drinker, but but I will say that hanging with Bird and them, they've introduced me to some beers I have never in my life heard of, but they are really, really good. And they have like different, different flavors, with some of them have chocolate and strawberries, and they got ones with peanut butter and this, that, and the other. Todd says that a Roma Craft perfect with cold beer.
Well, Roma Craft is just perfect, period.
Perfect, period. That's what. Listen. Skip is the man. Okay, Skip and Mike Rosales. Let me tell you something. Roma Craft is one of my favorite, absolute top tier cigars.
They're good people too.
They are
Solid people.
But we're gonna hop to the toxic thing, because we could go on and on, and we
I was starting to feel bad that I was like, talking way too much. Like, how do I stop? I had a hard time stopping my conversation. Forgive me, other guests.
Can we post his website and all of this? I know we did it before, but
his IG, sure,
everything, yeah, because a friend of mine just sent me a message. She basically stated that guys make it look like it's VIP. And I'm like, listen, I mean, look, if Elena wasn't who Elena was, I was like, look, let's go get a cigar. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think she want to get that smoke in her hair. But yeah,
I hear that often.
Yeah, I was in a cigar spot one time, and I came home, and I was like, I messed around and had scotch in a cigar. I mean, I had like 23-year-old scotch, and I put ice in it, right? And I put ice in it. And I was drinking it.
You went from sugar to shit.
Hey man, I woke up like a dead roach the next day. You know what I'm saying? Straight up in the air on my back on the couch. So I can't do that no more.
You stupid.
Yeah.
That raises important for some people issue. I'm curious, if you're a cigar smoker, do you smell the same as cigarette smokers?
No.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. Not at all.
So it doesn't get your hair and your clothes.
Well, it does, but it's not the same. Cigars have different smells to them. It's kind of like, you ever been around somebody that smoked a pipe? That's kind of how cigar is. It's just a tobacco, but it's just rolled up instead of being loose.
Yeah, it should have a pleasant smell. I mean, that's one of the draws to me. Like, it should have a nice, pleasant aroma. You should be able to distinguish, like, is somebody smoking a cigar? Like, if somebody comes in here right now and lights up a cigarette, it will probably give me a headache. I can't be around cigarette smoke. It just it bothers me. The chemicals in it just really, really, really get to me. And whereas, you know, I walk through the doors of a cigar shop and I'm like, oh,
You're right.
like,
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
home.
Exactly. Yep. So it's awesome. But you know, we could talk about cigars for hours. So we're gonna jump off. It's what we love to do. And Cirillo, we are going to be talking about toxic relationships today. So I want to read what a toxic relationship is, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, toxic relationships, they immediately think man and woman. A toxic relationship is a relationship characterized by behaviors on the part of the toxic partner that are emotionally and not infrequently physically damaging to their partner. So I have 10 red flags by Dr. Tracy Marks, where you can recognize toxic behavior.
Okay.
And she actually has a YouTube channel, and I was just kind of blown away, you know. And she puts them up there for free because she right now she says mental health is very, very important, and she just wants people to be mentally healthy. So the first red flag, she says, is chronic anger, and that anger is used to control their partner, and they feel like they're walking on eggshells. So I don't know if anybody here has been in a toxic relationship. I know that I have, and when I looked at the 10 flags, I was like, wow. But when you're in a relationship, sometimes you can't see that. Like you don't really know how to categorize it or phrase it. It's just like you just know that you're just not happy. So I don't know if any of our guests have been in toxic relationships, but
I think, Nikki, if I may, I think black people have been in a toxic relationship with the United States of America for over 400 years.
Oh, say it again, bruh.
So,
say it again.
Well, you know me, it all began with slavery.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But when we start talking about, and before you go through the other 9, if you are, before we start going into, you know, what this African American is saying, I think we need to qualify, and hopefully that we're not falling under those standards based on European standards, or those 10 based on European standards. Classic example: if you're in a relationship with someone that's holding you accountable, you may feel as though you are walking on eggshells based on accountability. So, you know, it's like, I can't be myself around this person. No, hell no, you can't be yourself around this person. You know what I'm saying? Especially what you're doing is going against the grain or going against the norm of the relationship. But so when we start talking about toxicity and toxic relationships, and, you know, some people will say, well, I'm in a toxic relationship because, you know, I got to keep the house clean. I don't want to keep the house clean. I mean, you can call it a toxic relationship if you want, and to you, it probably is. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's just maybe you're trying to run from accountability. But
I think more so of her point is trying to fix the issue through anger. It's not a discussion.
Can you read that again, Nikki, if you don't mind?
Sure. Chronic anger. They use anger to control, making you feel like you have to walk on eggshells.
Okay.
So
I got a Kyle. Right.
Like, so if the person is always like has blow-ups, you know, for kind of like no reason whatsoever. You didn't do the dishes. You know, you didn't make the bed. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Just something to keep that person always on edge. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't know, you know, if I say this, is he gonna blow up or is she gonna blow up? You know, that type of thing.
Okay, I got it.
That type of thing.
Yeah, but I think we've been in a toxic relationship with the United States of America for years, and we will remain in a toxic relationship with this corporation until we eradicate it.
Miss Brown Eye says, personally, I feel all of us have been in toxic relationships in one way or another. And I just thought about something with the chronic anger. So, in our relationship with the Republicans right now, they're chronically angry. I mean, it's not a laughing matter because the case that's before the Supreme Court right now, the Voting Rights Act is being attacked unlike it's ever been in the United States. So, you know, it's just really sad how people use anger and lies to try to get their way, you know? And it's just, I mean, politics in and of itself, to me, is a toxic relationship. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there on that.
But the thing that's really interesting about what you read is that it doesn't just say chronic anger, but the fact that the person uses anger to control. You know, I think that, you know, being in a relationship with someone who has anger issues doesn't necessarily make your relationship toxic. The question is that anger fueled or pointed toward you in an attempt to control you? And the other thing about anger is everybody who's angry or uses anger to control doesn't blow up. Some people are extremely passive aggressive and display their anger in different ways. And so they don't feel like they really fall within the guidelines. Like, I'm not angry, but anger shows up in a lot of different ways, and it's not always explosive.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, because that's something that I was going to say. Like, it's not necessarily an explosion of berating. Sometimes it's just walking around the house fucking sad. You know what I mean? You just sad, and you know that the partner cares about whether or not you're sad. So you're using that to it's like whatever you're using to manipulate the other person.
Wait a minute, that's one of the things, manipulation. But go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like she was saying, like, okay, yeah. Sometimes it's not displayed in anger, but sometimes it's just like passive aggressive way of doing things, and I've seen that quite a bit all my life, really. You know what I mean? And you know, and it can come from a romantic partner. It can come from a parent. It can come from you know, it can come from a lot of different ways. And so your eggshells is like, I don't want to do anything to make this person not happy. Right. And so whether it's sad or anger or you know, like some people will blow up and freaking go on the internet and start posting memes or whatever about oh, if this person is this or that person is that, and they're not for me and all that stuff. Hey, you know your partner gonna read that. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't have the gumption to say it to your partner, so you're gonna put it on internet and drag them over to social media. That's the same kind of thing too, right?
Because they need that validation from other people. Oh, you know, that person ain't meant for you, and this, that, and the other, and everybody jumps on that bandwagon. So they do that in a way to make themselves feel better. I mean, at least that's how I feel, because I feel like you shouldn't air your dirty laundry needs to stay in the house and not all over, you know, social media. But that's just how I feel about that.
Part of the toxicity is the control too. So this is just one means of getting the control. So that's but I've definitely been accused of being passive aggressive. Not necessarily because I want to be that way, but I don't like to have outbursts. I don't like to say things that I have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So I like to be very thoughtful when I'm engaging, I guess, let's say in an argument or whatever, to that degree. So I will walk around in my own head, which will seem like I'm angry, or I might be angry, but I won't, you know, I can't say it until I guess it's time or that type of thing. So I think.
So you're toxic.
No, I'm not. Sometimes a little bit.
So Jermaine says toxic behavior is more about being chronic than anger. It's using something to control and manipulate. Yep. And I want to jump to number 2, which is chronic sarcasm. And she says that is just chronic sarcasm is just a disguised form of anger. Sarcasm has wit and bitterness behind it. So this one I wasn't quite sure of because my boyfriend is extremely sarcastic, but he does it in like, if you didn't know him, you would think he was an asshole. But because I know him, that's just how he jokes. You know, he's always been that way. So when we first started dating, it took me a minute to really understand. I was like, dang, why is he always down in me? This, that, and the other. But then I realized that that's just him. And it was just like when we're out and about and he says something, because I know it now, it's funny as crap to me. And so I that one, I guess, I wasn't necessarily, I guess, depending on how the sarcasm is done. You know, if you say something really sarcastic.
Are you defending?
Am I defending? No, I'm just trying to explain I'm just trying to explain my.
Are you
what?
defending? Right.
No.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Oh,
What I'm saying is that, you know, because it's about, you know,
that was sarcasm.
Right. You know, so now that you understand,
I'm slow.
now that you understand, that means he's no longer toxic, right? But had you guys not made it this far, you potentially would have classified him as being a toxic individual.
It could be, right, you know,
Right.
and I guess if the sarcasm is meant to cause harm, and I
Right.
know with me, it's not meant to cause harm. He's just a jokester. That's just who he is, you know.
Until the person is angry, right?
Or sensitive, because he always asks me, "Oh, you being sensitive today?" He's like, "Oh Lord, He said, "Let me go back to being quiet."
No. So what I was saying more so is like, okay, sarcasm is cool and everything is cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sarcasm is something completely different when things aren't cool, and this is your reaction to things not being cool,
Mm.
right?
Right.
If you're just a smart ass, you're just a smart ass. That's just your levity that you bring to the table, and people got to get it or they don't.
Right.
But if you're only a smart ass when shit hits the fan, then
right.
Or only a smart ass to a particular person.
Right. It's focus. It's a focused sarcasm.
Right.
That would become very toxic, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
Jermaine says toxic is about poisoning. Too much good can poison things. Too much good can poison things?
I mean, you know, they say too much of anything is not good for you.
And Miss Brown Eye says, so in essence, the toxicity is based off of how it affects the individual.
That is pointed towards.
I think it's based off of the intention of the person who did it.
I would agree.
Because like you just said, a lot of people are sarcastic. The issue is not whether a person is sarcastic or not. The issue is whether they use their sarcasm as a means to belittle or as a cowardly move to say what they are not able to say directly. Right. You know, I think it's all about the person who's portraying the behavior. Like what were they trying to do?
Right.
I'm naturally sarcastic. You know, that's just me.
Jermaine says quick wit is misinterpreted as sarcasm.
That's true, because I get that all the time. I'm very quick-witted, and people tell me that I'm being sarcastic, and it's not that I'm always. I mean, I can be sarcastic, and I'm joking all the time, you know. Right. And I try not to come across as being sarcastic when I'm angry. What happens with me is that other side kicks in, and I'm very direct, because I don't think at this time that sarcasm is the best way to get your point. I've done that already. You know, it's like now I'm going to your ass. You know what I'm saying? You know, because I'm always sarcastic. I'm always being jovial, like what I said to Nikki. So, you know, basically right now you're just defending his toxicity. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, and she's like, I'm
and see, and that's, you know, I really envy people who are quick-witted. you know, my boyfriend is quick with it, and I just be like, dang, like stuff just comes to him like that, and I'm blonde and I'm slow. Miss Brown Eye says, but how do you know what the intent is? You aren't that person, nor can you truly see what is in their heart.
To that point, I did say about intent, and I guess looking back at it, it's a little mistaken because it can be a learned behavior. Like you could see your parents interact those two ways and just think that's how a man and woman interacts. So then when you get with that woman or that man, you act that same way. Your mother's part or your dad's part in the relationship. So it's not that my intent is to be this way. I just think that relationships are this way. And then the other person, if they feed into that, then you're going back and forth. And if not, they're looking at you like you're wild.
Right.
Or good point. Or you know, understanding the dynamics that come along with the relationship. Case in point, a man and wife is driving home, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, before we spring forward, you know, daylight saving times kicks in. It's dark when you get home, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the wife has indicated in the past that she likes to walk. Okay. So now when they get home, it's sun. The sun is still up. So the husband says to the wife, oh, now the sun is still up. You can go walking. She looks at him and says, I'm tired of you calling me fat. You know what I'm saying? And so she took that as though it was
This
sarcasm.
is a very, very specific story.
I'm sorry, say
Look.
He said it's a very specific story.
That single barrel tea over there.
Was that Kyle who said that?
No, that was
Cirillo.
I'm just saying, man, you was painting the picture like, okay, you place me in the middle of this.
Hey, it was like, I'm tired of you calling me fat. Motherfucker, if I want to call you fat, I'll call you fat. You say you like to walk. You know what I'm saying? Here's the opportunity to walk. But you know,
but was you calling her fat a little bit though?
No, I was not. No, I wasn't.
I'm just joking.
Right, hold up. But check this out. Understand something, right? And if I can throw my plug, right? I read energy based on your name, right? So I'm a person that the first thing you know about me is that I'm a communicator. I have the letter L in the first position of my name. So I'm going to always communicate, right? Sure. One thing about the L people who communicate like that, they're going to tell you straight up how it is. It's not, we don't necessarily have to use sarcasm is our second defense, not our first line of defense, is our second for the true communicators. So with me, I'd be like, yo, you're getting fat. You need to walk your ass around the track or something. That's what I would have said. But I was basically just lending to the fact that, you know what, man, it's hey. But if you've come out of being criticized or toxic relationship, that comes across as, you know, control, you know, sarcasm and toxicity.
That could be a trigger. Mm-hmm.
What's number three, Nikki?
If you're the recipient or the giver of the behavior, the question is, are you toxic? Like, are you a toxic individual? Because if you're toxic, you can misread everything, you know?
Good point.
Everything through a different lens. So
number 3 is disparaging humor. Puts down people in a joking way.
That's kind of related to number 2 in my opinion, right? Yeah. So you know, this is a personal story of mine. You know, my wife, she kept changing. You know, the profiles for Netflix. You got all these different pictures you can choose, like, you know. And she kept changing my picture to the dude that's on like those commercials, the homosexual guy. that I don't know what move, I don't know what show he's in or whatever, but he's a black guy, bald head. He's been in a lot of commercials, and he's actually funny as hell. Like but she kept changing my picture to that, and I was just like, after it was funny the first time, I changed my profile picture. Then she would change it again, and then it was like I'll change it back, and then I was like, you know what? At this point, your consistency to do this is emasculating to me, right? And I don't know what your goal is in this, but if you are my wife, you're every day, you know what struggles that we have as Black men. You should be building me up from being torn down all day. And this is not an act of building. This is an act of tearing down me. Not because I'm homophobic or anything, but just that is not a good representation of who I am. So you're choosing to continue to do this in a humorous way, but what are you really getting at? Stop doing that shit. You know what I mean? Stop doing that shit. Because it's not for me. I'm not laughing about it. So who is it for? It's not funny. Right? So that's a very, I get that whole, using humor to kind of, maybe you're unhappy with something. It was just fucking open your mouth. Say you're unhappy about something.
Right.
Gotcha. And that's it. That's it. Like, but also I'm your partner. Damn it, build me up. Don't do anything that's gonna cause me to like where else am I acting a certain way? Am I looking a certain way? Like I shouldn't have these worries. I shouldn't be like, is this how you see me? Like I shouldn't have any of that. I should be thinking to myself that, you know what? When I walk out the house, I'm the king, right? Like you pushing me towards my destiny. You are doing everything in your power to build me. And I'm not saying every day, every second. That shit can get annoying. But I'm just saying with little things like that, those are moments when you could actually make your partner feel special. But you're using this humorous shit to make them feel less than, and so I get that one.
Yeah.
Number 4 is punitive mindset. The person has a mindset of you deserve the bad things that happen to them. Like, okay,
you deserve not getting his ass. Like that's what the woman would do. Like, yeah, if you wanted some ass, you would have acted better, but you ain't getting them. And you deserve like.
If
that's punitive as a mother.
Like if you made me mad and I blew up at you and you were like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you mad, and you were like, well, you knew it would make me mad and you knew I would blow up at you, so you deserved it.
Hold up. So the punitive piece is the reaction.
It's the mindset. So like if you did something to me and it angered me, and then you were like, oh, Nikki, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't need to make you angry. And you were like, well, because you made me well, you deserve me to be angry at you because you made me mad.
That's hard for me to understand.
It's that type of mindset. Well, basically they're blaming you for their reaction. Right. So you should have known better. So you deserve
control you.
That.
So like you have a black
stuff to happen to you.
Yeah, you have a black cloud over your head.
Yeah. Right. They make you always feel like it's your fault why something happened.
Right.
Well, but punitive is a very specific word, though, right?
Yeah, it's a punitive mindset.
Punitive is punishment, and it's about punishment. Like you are getting your punishment for not making sure that for making that coffee so hot is that you got to pay that old lady who spilled it on her lap $2 million.
Oof.
Right. That's what so that's punitive damages. Right. So what I guess what I'm trying to understand is punitive generally means that it's going to cost, your actions are going to cost you something.
that person getting upset.
Yeah, I think in relationships there's physical abuse. It's like if you the reason why you get in your beat is because you did this. You have caused this. You brought it upon yourself. This is the punishment for your action. You know, and with the person not taking ownership of what they've done, but you're getting what you deserve, basically.
So the penalizer is the toxic person, correct?
Right. Yes. Right.
Like, and you're making me do this to you. You're making me yell at you because you're always
blah blah and blah.
No, I got it now. I can see them.
Right, exactly.
I got it now.
Jermaine says, in layman's terms, it's deflecting responsibility. Mr. Brown says it's definitely a control thing. And punitive is an interesting word to use.
Yeah.
Well, that was
how do we, I mean, with the word punitive, how can we really punish someone in a relationship? You know, I mean, especially if you're dealing with adults here. So, you know, you can't penalize an adult, you know, and like Cirilo said, you know, if you
come on, Les.
Come again?
You could an adult. I mean, people don't want to go home. So then, if the person is so toxic, you pay for a mortgage every month and don't want to go there. They're making it so you don't want to be in your castle.
Well, no, but what I'm saying,
look, I'm just right here on that.
Say it again.
I'm laughing because that's the majority of the dudes in the B&B and cigar lounges. They don't want to go home.
but what I'm saying is, you know, I'm not going to give this to you because you didn't do that to me. You know, how do you punish an adult?
Well, I'm gonna tell you how I do it, and this may be a toxic behavior of mine. If somebody does something that I don't approve of or I don't like, I just separate myself from them. Because I feel like, and I'm not trying to be, it just might come off the wrong way, but I don't know how else to say it. I feel like to be around me and to enjoy my company is a privilege. That might seem a little messed up, but that's how I feel. And so if someone does something to me that deserves punishment, my biggest way of punishing is to remove myself from their life for however long it takes.
Well, hold on, Cirilo, is that you protecting your space and you're bound and guarding yourself, or is that being punitive?
It's both.
Okay, so you know the difference between being punitive and not allowing anyone to step over your boundaries.
Yeah, because sometimes it's not about my boundaries. Sometimes it's about that shit just pissed me off. And because it pissed me off, even though we didn't have an agreement as the way things were supposed to go, but you should have known better. So because you didn't know better, your ass I ain't gonna be around you no more. Like that kind of thing, right? And so it's a lot of assumptions on my part. One thing that we had some type of agreement, they should have known better, all these things, but we didn't have an agreement. We didn't talk about it beforehand. I just ain't like what the hell you did. Now this happens with me in business a lot. Like, you know, I'm just like, you know what, man, you know, that's fucked up the way you did that. I don't like it. I can't do business with you no more. Lose my damn number. And I'll leave it at that. And that's probably not the best way to handle that shit. I mean, honestly, case in point, we talked about the cigars earlier. Like, I stopped smoking Crown Heads when I really should have just sent him the email that I had already written.
But you never
and I never push send. So I stopped smoking them because I didn't like what they were doing. And even though we didn't have any type of agreement and I had no expectations of them, right? But I still felt like removing myself from their sphere was punitive in some manner. You know what I mean? I guess, you know, so I don't know.
You make a phone call and it's blocked. Good enough.
My block list is strong.
So Jermaine says, you made me hurt my hand on you. That's pretty much that mindset, pretty much.
Right.
Number 5 is controlling nature, doing things to invalidate the controller. Well, we all know controlling behavior.
To me, I think that's both sides of the same coin. Like that statement seems to be like for the victim and the victimizer. Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's like you got I don't, if like I said, I don't like you in red, and then the toxic person sees you out in a red shirt, and they were like, why do you have that on? You know that I told you I don't like you in red, so why would you wear red?
Yeah, but read it again though for me. Read.
It says controlling nature, doing things that invalidate the controller.
That's what you want to do, right?
If
somebody is controlling, you want to invalidate their control. Isn't that what you want to do?
Yeah, but if it's going to be at the detriment to you, you don't, because you don't know how that toxic person is going to respond.
But you're speaking. You're speaking. Go ahead, Elaine.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of times where you see this is where they're.
I'm just on the podcast.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be quiet.
And like one person may excel. Like if a person excels the controller, then it's their job to put that person down, because you can't exceed me. I'm in charge. You're smarter than me. You can make more money than me. So I'll do everything to sabotage you, so that you are never in a position where you think that I'm not the one who should be in control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow you to do anything that would invalidate my position.
Right. Ms. Brown says most toxic behaviors are successful in relationships because of how they're created, from the deflection in their own insecurities through their dominant/control. Mm-hmm. Cheese and crackers. Get off my paper, bud. Number 6 is excessive insecurity. That person needs constant reassurance.
I call those discount double checks. I was talking to a couple of my buddies, and they feel like they're being, especially new in a relationship, being checked and double checked. You said you were here, and whatever. That insecurity, I call it the discount double check, because they're really trying to validate in their mind whether they should believe you or not, and they're conflicted. So they need you to prove it to them and reprove it to them that you really are about them.
Is that toxicity or just a person that's needy?
Well, you can use it to your advantage too. If you're like that and you present yourself as this insecure person and the person likes me, then I can use my insecurity to control you.
And think about it. If the person is insecure and they're sarcastic, bruh.
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, it's okay.
What?
So the way I kind of see it is that sometimes it's a learned coping mechanism, right? So when you're dealing with somebody who's toxic and they delivering toxicity to you on a regular basis, sometimes your only response has to be from a toxic perspective as well. Like that's your coping, or either you have to leave that relationship. If you have somebody who is constantly being sarcastic and pulling on your flaws and things like that, and then your response is, hey, I kind of feel like, I'm not important to you, and I'm just like, and I'm constantly bringing you my insecurities that were created because of your toxicity. Then it's a coping mechanism, right? So what I would really love to hear from this person who did the list is, well, how do you respond other than leaving the relationship to toxicity? Because toxic gets, they don't know the boundaries when you respond with kindness and with love and with all these things, right? And that's almost allowing them to continue to be toxic because they think you love it that way. But if you respond toxically, now you're just as bad as them. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think the video was done to try to help people kind of see identify those toxicities in other people, and to your point, to leave, to realize this is you're being manipulated in this fashion.
Well, she also talks about how to detoxify the relationship in the second part of the video.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
I think people who are chronically toxic know it, and they have some inkling that they don't have what it takes to sustain a relationship, which is why they resort to control and manipulation. When I think of my toxic relationships as it relates to excessive insecurity, one of my exes, going anywhere was just, it was a drag. Going to the grocery store, like that dude's looking at you. It's like, well, we're standing in line.
Wow.
and he's the cashier.
Just that constant need for reassurance that I wasn't going to cheat. And it's like weird. If I had cheated, that would have been a realistic fear, right? But I had never cheated or shown signs or anything like that. So I think the goal is, if you're in a relationship with someone who is toxic, you want to get out of it unless that person grows. And even then, like, why do you have to stick around for it? Toxicity spreads. And so I think once you have identified that someone is toxic, it's time to go. Looking at my own toxic relationship, he knew it was toxic, and he knew he didn't deserve to be with me. And that's why all of the control, the manipulation, the holding me close and holding me tight, because it just wasn't a good situation. It wasn't one that I should have been in, and I got out as quickly as I could.
Right. It's like when, like you said, when you go out and dudes is looking at you, and it's just like, well, I mean, in my marriage, it was like, there's like, I can't control that person. I can't control their eyes. I can't control what they're doing. So you get mad at me for the way that I look. Bruh, come on now.
When that's what attracted them in the first place.
Right. Right. That part. So Miss Brown says toxic relationships contaminate your self-esteem and happiness. I agree. People need to realize they can't fix everything. Definitely. The next one is number 7 is extremely opinionated, meaning they're judgmental. Whew.
Well, I don't think opinionated and judgmental are the same. Because you can be quite opinionated and not be judgmental at the same time. So not unless you know people who are both opinionated and judgmental. But I don't think that the two are synonymous.
Okay. Anybody else disagree?
No, I can be judgmental and opinionated at the same time. You're like, yo, you like that smoke? That's what you gonna smoke tonight? Oh, okay, cool. Right. if you like that kind of thing, go ahead, man, knock yourself out.
How many times have we done that one? I mean, yeah. I've said stuff like, and I've gotten the side eye, but I've been at the lounge, and like, if I see a dude smoking an acid, I'm just like, you get no respect from me, bro. None. And I'm just like, they're like, Nikki. And I'm just like, I'm just saying. They're like, maybe he's a newbie. Okay, you got a point. But I don't know.
I think it's the continuing to be judgmental. So it's the repetition of the whole thing, where it's everything, you were judging everything. So where it comes to a point where
it's like, dang, can I wake up?
That's why my friends don't like me now. They're my friends. They are my friends. I'm not necessarily their friend. Oh no, I'm their friend.
Right. They're yeah, I get you. I get you.
I claim them, they don't necessarily claim me.
Miss Brown Eye says, fighting to hold on to something that is not fighting to hold on. Fighting to hold on to something that is not fighting to hold on to you will ruin you. Pause, reread that. I did. Number 8 is, my favorite. The manipulator. She says guilt with if-then statements. Like, if you love me, then you would do this. If you valued my happiness, then you would do that. That's what she meant by if-then statements. But we know manipulation comes in many different forms besides, the if-then thing. So number 8 is predominant self-centeredness. It takes more than they give. They have to have their needs met before they're willing to give. I think we all know somebody like that. So I guess, doing something with the mindset of getting it in return.
Mm-hmm.
So let me have you give everything to me. Then when I'm filled, then I'll decide to give back to you.
I think one of the important things to have as a basis for understanding this list too, though, is that you have to know the love language of your partner, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of their reactions are not necessarily based off of toxicity, but that's how they love, right? And so for instance, for a person whose love language is gifts, right? They may, and then another person, like there's acts of service or whatever. So they may have done something service wise for you, and so they have expectations of getting a gift in return. You know what I mean? Or at some point, maybe not in response to what but at some point. But if you never give that gift, then they like, come on, man, I got to get toxic on your ass.
Miss Brown Eye says, y'all should also shine light on how it's both people creating that toxic relationship. Neither are happy. Both have emotionally moved on or weren't truly there in the first place.
Right.
No, I think the other thing to consider is, like, with this list, in a truly, like, everybody, relationships are not easy, period, point blank, right? Every relationship is going to have its challenges, but in a toxic relationship, I believe many of these things are going to be red flags. It's not just one, cherry picking, like, oh, it's just this one situation going on. It's usually a little bit deeper than that. You'll see a lot of these things going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the information that, and no disrespect to the doctors, regurgitated information, and when you go back and here, coming from the Black perspective and understanding something, you have psychologists, Black psychologists, who have learned through a European education system. Then you have Black psychologists who believe in Pan-Africanism and an African-centered education, which means that their perspective is a lot different. So when Dr. Amos Wilson talked about relationships, Black on Black relationships, Black male, Black female relationships, one thing that he stated was that, we can always come and talk about toxicity. We can always talk about pointing the finger what the Black man didn't do, what the Black woman didn't do, and how we relate to each other in the way that we do. But no one is really addressing the beginning of how all of this started. Because, if, like what Cirilo said in terms of the love language, which I can't stand, but he makes a good point. If you do not know the person that you're dealing with, then a lot of things that you might mistaken as being toxic. Or, case in point, with me, like I said, if you don't understand me, then, it's like, well, he's sarcastic. And someone else may say, no, he's not sarcastic. He's just quick wit, or he's just intelligent, or he ain't a brother with a GED. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times you will have people who come from backgrounds in which they've been put down, especially by parents, because I've read a statement that says sometimes a daughter's first bully is her mother. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's some real shit. So therefore, as they get older and they will marry into a family, and they marry a strong man who just so happens to have a strong mother, You know what I'm saying? And then there's that tension there. And then that has the potential of turning into a toxic relationship without understanding that the reason why his wife could be responding to his mother like that is because of the relationship that she's had with her mother. You know, so when we start going back and we listening to, you know, or allowing European standards to define how we relate to one another, or we give it a title, then I think that's where we fall short. Because everything that she said up here can go left or can go right. You know, you know, it's like the love languages, and I'm glad Cirilo brought that up because, like I said, I can't stand it. But I believe that some people come to and I'm waiting for Elena to jump in on this one.
You see, I ain't saying nothing.
You know, I'm like, you know, I've met people that said, "Oh, my love language is receiving gifts." Yeah, because you've been poor all your life. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And you selfish as hell. You don't want to give gifts. You want everybody to give you. To the point that this sister actually married a rich man that she didn't love, based on the simple fact that he can give her gifts. You know, or when you say that, you know, my love language is, and this is my opinion, right? You know, or my love language is touch. You know what I'm saying? Of course, because your daddy ain't touch you when you was growing up. You know what I'm saying? You know, so therefore, if someone touches you, then you know that's what you think that you need, when that's not the case at all. You know, but we sometimes we come to these love. And Gary Chapman, when he wrote the book, I'm telling you, black people grab that book like they grabbed Rick Warren's book, A Purpose Driven Life. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, do we grab black scholars the way we grab these other European scholars and then assign ourselves to their belief system? So then we know when people were running out and grabbing these books, well, my love language is gifts and acts of service. You know, my love language is, you know, words of affirmation. I'm sure your words, your love language can be words of affirmation if you are accustomed to being bullshitted. And I'm going to go back to what I always go back to. My godfather, Iceberg Slim, Robert Beck. And it's like his mentor told him, you can always keep a hoe as long as you keep it confused. You know what I'm saying? So when someone comes to me and say, well, my love language is words of affirmation, but they can't affirm themselves, then they're asking to be taken advantage of. And then when you don't do it, guess what you get? You're toxic. That ain't personal, Cirilo. That's you know.
I wasn't taking it personal at all. I'm the guy.
You know, that wasn't my story. Like the last time you said, you know, that was kind of descriptive.
Oh, I could tell in the tone of your voice that this was not personal. This was highly opinionated. I felt a little toxicity. I felt a little toxicity, a little judgment.
Well, one of our viewers says, no, I agree with that thought on the book. It's so much more than that. People are taking it literally. The psychology of understanding yourself and your partner is so much more. So I think with that book, the person has to be emotionally healthy and they have to really understand themselves in order to get the most out of that book. But I see where you're coming from, Cirilo. I see how a broken person could be like, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, without really getting to the root of, you know, their issues.
Well,
but
what I really feel happens is that a lot of people just don't have any clue of figuring out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires a delving into a lot of different philosophies and understandings and getting some teachings and those things. It's a lot of people who just don't know who they are. So you got to find, and you don't have the roots a lot of times in our community to be able to get back to who we are. Like, who the hell am I? Like, you know, at the end of the day, so I'm just trying to get some type of system around me that's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it's helping me to form the picture of who I am, like, and have a better understanding of who I am inside. And you know, and while I don't think anybody's one book or philosophy or anything like that is enough for anybody's life, I believe that these things can be used to help you to put together a nice system for yourself of how to progress through life happy, successful, with successful relationships, and getting the things out of life that you want, but also giving to a community that's around you, all the way down to the closest relationships you may have. And so understanding my kids is a little bit more difficult when when they're kids. You're just trying to figure it out. Like, well, okay, I don't know what makes you tick. So like,
Can't hear you.
okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My oldest, what makes him tick is what.
You keep going out. I'm gonna throw this up while you fix that. Miss Brown Eye says too many broken people don't learn to love themselves before they try to allow another to give love. There are so many who don't take the time in between relationships so they can mend and reset.
Luggage, as you said before, Nikki, we don't unpack that luggage.
Exactly. Les wanted me to show his website, www.innatedynamics.com. Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Okay,
And
cool.
if I may, going back to what is it? Pretty Brown Eyes. Is that her name? Miss Brown
Yes.
Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sarcasm with no ill intent. You got that right?
Yeah.
I can't hear Cirilo.
Me neither. He laughing. Can't hear him. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Going back to what she was saying, no, the thing about it is, no, we really don't know ourselves, and when it's like when you see a color in a book, or you go get a crystal or a stone, and it's like, that's my stone, that's my color. Is he back yet? Oh, hey, now you can call me Miss. Okay, all right.
Pretty Brown Eyes.
The thing about it is we subscribe to things, or ascribe to things that we like, but may not be in our best interest. And so when we're talking, like I said, I do energy reading with names, and so I'm able to tell you about yourself, and not the negative things, but the positive attributes about yourself that you do know, but maybe it's a thing where it's not affirmed. So the first thing I do when I meet a person is I get their name, because after that, then everything else, it's going up, it's downhill. We're good with that, or it's uphill, or it's good, and most people just don't understand themselves. So, from, I didn't like what you said, well, I wasn't trying to say anything to you that was going to hurt you. I'm just talking. And if it's something about me that you don't like, because I've had a female tell me one time at work, colleague, she said, every time you look at me, it appears as though you're looking through me. And I'm like, it's just the way my eyes are. You know what I'm saying? That's not my shit. That's your shit. You know what I'm saying? Cirilo, we still can't hear you, man. You got a lot to say.
Try unplugging the thing from your phone.
Hold on, come back.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I mean, it's so much. We really need institutions.
Bless you, Elaine.
Elaine, I can't hear you either.
No, she sneezed, and we just said bless you.
Oh, okay. You heard that?
No, we could just tell.
I muted myself because I knew I was going to sneeze. I was trying to do I detect a hint of sarcasm?
No. That's blatant, right?
Hey, Les is being toxic again.
No, but I think we need to really take more time and really getting. All right. I think we really need to take the time out to really get to know who we are.
Justin.
And you're good. And then move from there. I want to hear what Cirilo got to say.
I was just singing "Pretty Brown Eyes" by Mint Condition when you said I didn't have anything profound. I think what you're doing is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna check out the website now. That's just dope. But I was just being a fool over here and singing Mint Condition. That's all. And that's why my mute couldn't stop, because they knew better.
So, Cirilo, riddle me this. Would you be willing to let Les read you on the show so we can all see what it's like?
If it's round 2.
Yeah.
I mean, meaning we got to do one together first, and then we come back.
Okay.
Hey, listen. My job is to expose the great qualities. That's all I do. You know what I'm saying?
But so to be honest, sometimes that sets a standard that you may not be ready for also, right? So sometimes that could propel you into a direction that you feel very responsible for. And now without moving in that space daily to achieve those things, you may feel like, I'm missing the mark. I'm not saying that's the way I would feel afterwards. Right. I'm just saying that's the vulnerability of it to me.
Well, you know what? That's a good point, Elena.
Yeah.
Elena, can you comment on that? Because Elena knows what I do.
That's interesting.
I mean, I don't know. I think so. I've Les has done my name or given me some insight based on the tools that he has, and it didn't leave me feeling deficient or beholden. I think it's the thing that it is just insight. It's a tool. And I think we talked a lot about that today. The list that Nikki presented, it's a tool. It's not all encompassing. It's a tool. And hopefully the more tools you use and the more work you do on yourself, you'll start to see connections. So when Les does a reading, for the most part, it's not going to be stuff that you don't know. It's going to be the affirmation of things that you already know about yourself, or bringing things that were maybe a little buried more to the surface, surfacing things that were hidden or things that you have forgotten. But yeah, it's just insight, and it's a tool.
Mm-hmm. He did me before, and most of it I knew, about myself. Miss Brown Eye says, and have better intuition. Mm-hmm.
Elena actually was the one who coined what I do as a mechanism for understanding.
I did.
Yeah, you did. That's you.
And you paid me for that. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's all it is because I'll be honest with you, when it first happened to me, I was very apologetic about a few things. And the guy was like, listen, stop apologizing. This is who you are. This is what you do. So that took the pressure away from me. He also said that, you are a writer. I'm like, man, I ain't no writer. You know what I'm saying? Years later, I wrote a book. You know what I'm saying? Years later, I wrote a book. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we can do round 2. You know what I'm saying?
No. I'm just joking. I would love to do it, man. I'm all about finding out more. And I don't have a problem with that at all. Let's schedule it. Let's do it. Because like you said, I mean, tools are important. And that's how we progress, right? That's how we get to where we want to be in life. And that's how we also help people to know how to communicate with us. Mm-hmm. Right? If you know who you are, if you know who you are,
yep.
Then you can tell other people who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And then when they are truly being disrespectful to you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I want to play 2 short videos real quick on toxic relationships. I think this young lady breaks it down really, really well. So here we go.
We normalize the fact that not everybody is a victim. I said that if you stay in a toxic relationship simply because you don't want to be alone, you are weak-minded. And here come the weak women. That's not being weak. Some women just aren't as strong. Right. Weak. Well, that's not weak. Some women just need to heal. You can't heal from a traumatic situation that you're still in. I can't heal a burn if I keep touching a fucking stove. It's impossible. It's a lot easier to call yourself a victim than it is to take responsibility and accountability for the things that you allow and stand up for yourself. The great thing about being weak is you can always gain strength. And for the men that's saying that strong woman mentality is toxic, no, it isn't. You can love a man, respect a man, and build up a man and still be strong. You're just not going to tolerate bullshit. For those of you that think that I don't need a man mentality is toxic, no, it isn't. You don't need anybody in this world. You need water, you need food, you need oxygen, but you do not need another human being in order to function. In fact, if you do, something's wrong with you.
And then I know, right? And this is her other one.
That will accept things from our significant others that we would never accept from anybody the fuck else. You ask your partner not to cheat. You ask them for more words of affirmation, love, time, affection. They can't do that, and you will stay your ass right there. If you needed onions for a recipe and Target said, well, we don't have any, you would go to Walmart. And if Walmart said, we possess onions, but we just can't give it to you, you'd say, what the fuck? And then you would go to Kroger's. Why? Because you adjust and adapt to the things that you need. If you had a taste for pizza and Pizza Hut refused to serve you, you would not stay in the lobby for 5 to 7 years hoping that they would change their mind. Yet you ask your partner not to fuck other people, and that's somehow something you're willing to accept. The only reason you'll accept something less than what you deserve is because you don't think you're good enough to receive anything better. And you're not. Until you believe you are. The moment that you believe that you deserve better, you'll start to require that. And if the person that you're with can't give that to you, you'll adjust, you'll adapt, and you'll find it elsewhere, like you would in any other scenario.
I was like, oh, she made absolutely perfect sense to me. So Les, is he still there?
Doesn't seem to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, so Pretty Brown Ass says, Les, speaking of the book, when is it going to be available for us consumers?
Let me ask the editor.
Don't even put it on Elena. Don't even.
The editor says as soon as the author finishes his current assignment, then we talk about that. That's what the editor said.
I'm sorry. Come again. I missed that point. Come again.
You heard me.
No, I did. I'm sorry. I'm
I said the editor says as soon as the author finishes this part of his assignment, then we can talk about it.
Let me tell you what. Since I've been challenged, what is this? I'm sorry.
Today is the 3rd of March.
Okay, I'm going to open this.
It was the 3rd of November.
Time out. May I say one thing about Cirilo and this communication? May I? Right?
Yes.
Cirilo, how do you spell your name? I just want to do one letter, and that's the first letter. Just the first letter.
Cirilo.
Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure I have some folks that know that I do. They're watching this. The letter C is the 3rd letter of the alphabet, right? It's a communication vibration that he has, right?
Oh.
Which means that if you are insecure, inadequate in your thinking, especially from an academic perspective, you will be easily offended by him because he has an above average intelligence. He can communicate with the best of them, and he's extremely expressive. Because he has the letter C, a communication vibe, in the first position of his name, which is a leadership vibe, that means his communication is very direct. If you cannot deal with direct conversation, you are going to have a problem with him. The reason why we get along, even though we've never met, is because I have communication energy just like you. So I understand when you're being an asshole, when you're being sarcastic, and when you're being mean. And you ain't being none of those. You are just communicating. Elena has it as well. Kyle has it as well, right? So we are not easily offended. That's what this mechanism of understanding will do for you. So when you go into a relationship, you already know who you are. It's for the other person to get an overstanding of who you are so they don't get easily offended.
Boom. That's you all day, Cirilo. And I know him, so I totally agree. Allison says, "Hey, Allison." She says, "Or do you know when somebody truly loves themselves enough to be able to love you back?" And Miss Brown Eye says, "That's deep."
I'm wild right now. I'm like really like wow.
Yeah, he read me before, and I was just like, okay. But see, mine is, because my government name isn't Nikki, so I go by Nikki.
That's what we need, some music.
I knew this girl named Nikki.
Let me tell you, man, that song haunted me when I was growing up. But as I became an adult, I was like, that's my jam. That's me all day.
It's in your lane. That's in your lane.
All day. Prince was not lying. Okay.
I have to say one thing.
Okay, so with that reading, so Miss Brown Eyes wants you to do hers. So
wait. I have look, celebrating my daughter's birthday again
that's
today,
right.
yesterday. I have to leave. If just go to my website, Nikki, if you don't mind sending her my phone number. Okay. Send her my phone number, but she can go to my website as well, and we'll schedule an appointment. Okay. All right. Listen. I hate to leave. You know what I'm saying? But my baby's 9 years old. You know what I mean?
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, baby!
All right. And guess what?
She is beautiful.
She is gorgeous. I love your hair, Leslie. It's beautiful, honey.
We are accepting birthday cash app gifts to $1. Look, yeah, no, I got your stuff. Look, gotta go. Listen, plug everybody in. Give Miss Pretty Brown Eyes my phone number if you don't mind. Have her call me directly.
I think she might want you to do her on the show. Her real name is Diana, but I think she might want you to do her here. So.
Well, ask her.
Diana, do you want him to read you here or in private? He's got to bounce now, but
no, I got a minute.
Diana, you want him to do it now? She says, "Oh, happy birthday." You know, it's a delay. She said, "Oh, happy birthday to that beautiful young lady." I think she does want you to do it now. Go ahead, just
right quick.
Diana, Diana.
Let me see it if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you.
She said, "I'm game." So go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna make it short, very structured, very organized. So therefore, when you're talking to her, you gotta look her in the eye directly at all times. That's the only way she's gonna take you serious. Put her name back up there for me. She has an amazing heart, right? Loves to help. She's a great humanitarian. Very sensitive, extremely sensitive as an individual. You don't joke with her a lot of times because you'll strike a nerve. She has a strong spiritual energy, which means that she picks up on all great vibes and she knows who's BSing and who's being truthful and real. It can go deeper. So her challenge would be over helping, knowing when to help and when not to help. Okay. She has to know when to say no. And I'm pretty sure if you were to take the shirt off her back, you would see the wounds on her back and being stabbed in the back from over helping people. I'll give her more a little bit later on. So I'll just wait for a comment.
That's deep. And the only thing that I think I would disagree on is the sensitive thing and not being able to joke with her, because she is a clown just like me.
Hold up, Cirilo, tell her about Elena. You have the L. Tell them about what happens with the clowning and deflecting. What are we doing?
You basically you're guarding. You're guarding, and I know a Diana as well. And the things you were saying, many wounds on her back, many wounds on her back.
She's definitely helpful, very, very helpful. And I know that she has been stabbed in the back by quite a few people, but that doesn't stop her from helping. She's, she'll give you the shirt off her back if you need it. She
might be the one who brings the extra to the functions all the time too. She hang out with a straight. She bring a straight to the group all the time.
She was like, wow, you were so on point. Nikki knows, yeah, I do. That's my girl. That's my ride or die right there. So
All right. Look, Elena,
I know. Go ahead.
Now I'm gonna let Elena want to say something. Elena.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say two things. I think that whenever Les does a reading, there are multiple dimensions that are a part of that. Some of them reflect your lower nature, right? Okay. So the more that you evolve, the further you may move away from certain things. And then the other reality is sometimes we can identify a behavior within ourselves and we act against it, even if it's our natural inclination. I would say for me, I have a lot of A's in my name. So that means I have a very, don't make that face, a very strong energy. But because I'm also an empath and I don't like to hurt people, I'm always worrying with myself on how to present information to people without being too direct, with the desire to not be harmful. And so I think most recently what I really realized is that I'm really battling against my nature and who I am. And so finding a way to not negate who I am, to walk in full authenticity, and still be to not do harm. But I had to really embrace that piece, even though I kind of knew it, thought I had moved past it. But it really is kind of me. I'm direct. I have a strong aura, strong spirit. Like, I'm just strong, and that can be intimidating to a lot of people, which makes it hurt. You know, it hurts me. I don't want to intimidate anybody, but it's the reality of who I am. And so, don't do that. I've had to embrace that is the reality of who I am.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
I'll cut you off, because keep in mind, people with L's and C's will always cut you off in your conversation. We do that all the time. Okay. So listen. With that being stated, you have to understand that when this person is cutting you off, it's not, if there's no ill intent or maliciousness about it, then it's not there. With Elena has the letter A in the first position. That means by nature she's aggressive. Okay. What happens is, backing that is the letter L, which means she's communicative as well. So then she has an A in the last position of her name. Think you have 3 A's in your name, Elena? Mm-hmm. 3 A's means that you're very strong and dominant. Okay. Most people can't deal with that. So what happens is, if you don't, in the website I have, do you know your name? If you don't understand yourself, then I'm John. Let's see how that. If you don't understand your name, then what happens is you will allow people to control you by what they are saying to you, and you will alter who you are, right? So what Elena had to realize is, you're going to get that angry Black woman look. You know what I'm saying? Even when you're not. Now, we as soul people, we can look at her and be like, yo, the sister just said what she said. Like, if 5 of us are sitting in a room, we could be going through some banter. Someone from another race may look at us and say, why are you guys arguing with each other? We're not arguing with each other. This is how we effectively communicate. We're passionate. No one's cussing. No one's saying anything. But this is how we are, So trying to help Elena, not with her struggles, but to give her the encouragement, like, yo, say what you got to say, do what you got to do. You're going to be misunderstood anyways, and it's not your fault.
Les.
Yes.
Don't you gotta go?
So wait, Miss Brown Eye says, what a gift you have. I know your author work is going to be amazing. Can't wait to read it. She says, yes, my little sis Leslie does it to me all the time. So we'll do, so next week, Les, we'll have you read the panel. How about that?
Sounds great. All right.
Okay.
Look, Cirilo, hopefully you'll be back on, because guess what? Cirilo is very direct. I don't take what he says personal. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? I understand his energy. You know what I mean? But now you get this one. Kyle, take care. Nikki, take care.
All right, you too.
All right, have
See you later. See you next week.
right. That's awesome. Cirilo, I hope you can come back next week because I want to have less. He told me the same thing, Elena, because my birth given name is Andrea, so I have an A at the beginning and an A at the end. That would be awesome. And Miss Brown Eyes, hopefully you could come back next week and he can dive a little, deeper into your name. So that's awesome.
But we need some intro music for her.
For who? Diana?
No, for Pretty Brown Eyes. Yes.
Dirty Diana. That's what I said.
So she got two songs. She got Pretty Brown Eyes and Dirty Diana.
Exactly. So yes, that is definitely awesome. I want to hop back on the cigar thing real quick. So this Cuban that I had, I do something which is called marrying cigars. And I married this one with some full bodies. And let me tell you, the buzz I got right now, bruh.
So for those who don't know what that means.
Okay, so marrying cigars, and she says, yep, I'm a Gemini.
Me too.
So marrying cigars is like where you take the cigars of different strengths, like you have your mild, medium, and your full body. So I'll take a mild because I'm not a big mild. I don't like really mild cigars. They dry my mouth out. So I will marry a mild with a full body, meaning I'll put it in my humidor in between or on top of or underneath full body cigars, and I'll just let them sit there. Now this has been sitting for about 6 to 7 months. And what it does is it actually changes the flavor and the that's the word I'm looking for, not flavor. It changes the complexity of the cigar. So this would generally smoke very mild, really wouldn't get too much of a buzz, but because I married it with the stronger cigars, it's changed the flavor on it. It tastes different on my palate versus if I just, would have smoked it out of the box. And your boy Jay taught me that.
Do you, so right there, does it just affect the wrapper or does it affect the...
No,
does it go deeper?
It goes deeper. It goes
really?
deeper.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Jason taught me that about marrying cigars. So I was just like,
I can't believe he even used the word marry.
So, but yeah, so the buzz that I have on this, and the longer that you marry it, the stronger, the flavor. So, I don't think it works in reverse though. I don't think if I put a full body, with a bunch of Connecticut's, that it would change the flavor notes on that one.
Well, the full body is going to mellow anyway. So you put full body in your humidor on cedar, and you let it sit for a year. Then you're changing the whole. I mean, that's a lesson in and of itself. Just the whole idea around humidors and how important they are for the development of the cigars that you buy by the box. Like humidors are not really meant for pulling your daily smokes out per se. It's really a good quality humidor with great Spanish cedar in it. Is there to actually see how your cigar smokes differently at different points along the continuum. And then if you leave them in there too long, though, the whole cigar starts to taste like wood versus the tobacco, right? So there's some benefits to it. There's some things that, because some people like that woody taste, that cedar taste, Uncle Lee was one of those cigars that was just beautifully done.
That's one of your favorites, I know.
I wish somebody had like a box that they could sell.
I have a really good humidor that's has cedar in it, and what I do is I take all of my cigars out of the cellophane, and I put them in there because it changes the flavor for me. So I like doing that. But we didn't get the number 10, y'all. We got the 9 for the red flags. Number 10 is need to be on the offense, always trying to get over.
This is a good list, for starters. But I think that in real life, a lot of these characteristics are not so easy to suss out because people have become extremely sophisticated in how they hide, cover up, and couch some of these things. One of the conversations I've heard recently, of course, surrounding the drama with T.I. and Tiny is this whole piece where in the public, their marriage is presented in such a way that you feel like Tiny is the victim, that he's always controlling her and she's submissive. But with all of the things that have been alleged, and I say alleged because I don't know, but they're alleged, that Tiny is the one who has been recruiting these women for their activity, their nocturnal activities. And so she has this, outward appearance that she's demure, she's submissive, but the reality is she's the pimp. So, I think that this list, you really gotta dig deep and pull back the covers because people are really, a true narcissist is really sophisticated. So some of these things aren't going to be readily available. You don't see it when you first get to know them. Some of these things kind of show up later. And some of these things, they'll actually try to act the opposite just so it doesn't call immediate suspicion to how they're carrying things out. It's a good list though for starters.
I mean, hell, when you think about Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, right? We never knew. We always assumed that it was Bobby Brown, that he was the pusher behind all of this stuff. And everybody started hating Bobby Brown because what he was doing to Whitney Houston. When you started seeing that being Bobby Brown show, you was like, hold up. Hell to the no.
Whitney go hard.
Right?
She comes right.
Yeah, but she was our angel, right? She had the angelic voice. She had the persona. She had the grooming and all this. And then you got to think, Dionne Warwick was this girl's aunt. You know what I'm saying? Like Dionne Warwick is the epitome of class and elegance and all these things. You know what I mean? So you thinking, well, certainly. You right, but the reality was that Whitney was more
street
than anything else. We lost you.
Well, my boyfriend's from Jersey, and he was telling me he wasn't surprised. And Clive Davis,
can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
Clive Davis was the one that changed that. He wanted that softer, angelic, this, that, and the other, but. I guess for living, I think who she was with Bobby was the true Whitney. And I think that her having to live this other life for such a long time, I guess it got to her. Think about what we talked about last week about how, if a person is gay and they try to, appease everybody else by being somebody that they're really not, after a while, it becomes exhausting and they just want to be who they are. And
I think Bobby was the perfect person for her, but not the perfect person. So perfect because they matched together and they like to party as hard as one another, but that's not beneficial to either one of their careers. So they were great together, but not great.
Toxic has many faces. It doesn't all look the same.
Exactly. So do you guys think that abuse is the same as toxic, or do you think that there's a difference there?
Abuse has to be toxic. In the word, you're abusing. So,
and I don't necessarily mean physical. I'm talking about the mental abuse.
Yeah, I think any form of abuse is what could be considered toxic behavior. Absolutely. I don't think
I think abuse really is about the repetition of something. So it's a repeating effect of toxicity, right? Abuse just means that there is multiple. I think, like you can, like it's hard to abuse alcohol one time.
Yeah.
Like right, you can overdrink, you know all this stuff, but if you do it every day, now you're abusing alcohol.
Right.
I'm gonna say yes and magnitude, because it's one thing to smack a person around frequently, but it's if you put a gun to my head and it's just the first time, look, that's still toxic.
Oh, no, you said I can understand,
but it's not
every once in a while,
right? But if somebody puts a gun to your head one time, that's not necessarily abuse, right? That's a crime, right? That's an instantaneous thing. That one time, in my understanding of the word abuse, is not indicative of abuse. It is. Now, if that person mentally abused you all the time, and then they're just escalating, right? They're just escalating it all the time, and then it ends with them putting a gun to your head. Now, you've had a pattern of abuse over this time period, but that if you went from the guy was talking, having jokes and y'all drinking, have a good time, and the next thing you know, him was like, you like, hold up, that's not abuse, that's crime, that's a crime. Don't kill me so that I can have your ass arrested. So it's not like, right? The magnitude is great, but there may be some underlying things if the relationship existed for some time, right? And I don't. So yeah, you can like a privilege, for instance. You can abuse a privilege by the repetition of the infraction, but to do it one time is not necessarily abusing the privilege. It's like, I see this opening. Let me take it. Let me take advantage of it. But if somebody call you out on it, you like, yeah, I saw that. My bad.
You mentioned alcohol. So when people talk about alcohol, yeah, that's a big joke. When people talk about alcohol abuse, it is repetition, but it's also magnitude. So to your point, if my job gives me a per diem of $100 and I spend $600 one time, that's abuse.
Yep.
If I
That's theft.
That's fine, but if I take a whole bottle of aspirin, even if it's my first time, it's still abusive because of the magnitude. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah,
that's overdose.
Yo, we got Les without Les being here.
One for another. It's cool.
You let him know I filled in for him.
I think the threatening of the life trumps the repetition.
You know, Craig would be real mad at you right now, Cirilo. So we have a friend, and he always fusses at Cirilo. He was like, dude, if you don't put that out, Cirilo smokes it down to like the nub, right? You be burning your fingers and whatnot.
And his money's worth.
Right. I can't even.
This still $1 worth of cigar right here.
Look.
I feel like the guy from Everybody Hates Chris. You remember Terry Crews? That's $5 worth of Kool-Aid. 50 cents.
I use these to get it down, and I swear I cannot get my cigar down as small as he does with his fingers. I can't do it.
You need a cigar roach clip, huh?
That's what this is. Well, it's like
the
equivalent, right? It's called a cigar pick.
And it's also called fingers.
I just happened to see you putting the match that little tiny. I can't do it, and I think part of it too is because of these daggone braces. It's hard to get it down that small. But
don't say that. Don't say that.
What?
That's a little double entendre.
Definitely, Cirilo. Will you come back next week?
I will do my best.
Okay.
I will have, I always got to check my schedule and make sure that I'm not, obligated somewhere else. So I don't have my calendar right now, but
it's the
certainly will consider. Okay.
Okay.
It's September.
Yeah, it's So next week we'll do some readings, and I'll see if I can find her detoxification part. What you laughing at? Oh, wait a minute. So she says, ha ha ha, y'all just broke down abuse versus neglect versus assault versus versus m- m- misuse versus addiction versus violence versus harassment.
And crimes.
She said all of which can be toxic.
All of which, no doubt.
Exactly. I will say that when I left my toxic relationship, it felt like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. And it's, to me, it's amazing what you can't see when you're in that fog, you know, and once you come out of that fog, it's like everything becomes crystal clear. You know, it was just amazing. And leaving the toxic relationship, I realized that I needed counseling because, like Les was saying earlier, I didn't know who I was. And I think Cirilo was saying, I didn't know who I was. You know, I didn't know who I was outside of the toxicity, you know, and I think that's one thing that people don't do when they come out of toxic relationships is they don't get the help that they need to just really unpack all of that, you know, to figure out, you know, why was I in this relationship? Why did I stay for so long? What is the root? Why am I attracted? Because one of the things that the doctor said was, if you grew up around someone who did some of these things, you may find yourself being attracted to similar people, even though you don't like their behavior. The objectionable behavior can feel familiar and comfortable at some level. And I thought that was really deep, you know. Like you were saying, Kyle, if you got two, you know, mom and dad, you know, they're constantly cussing and fussing or whatever, that's familiar to you. So you're kind of naturally going to be gravitated towards somebody that talks to you that way because that's what you're used to, not really realizing that that is toxic and that's not healthy, you know.
Hey, Nikki, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have to go.
Okay.
I really, really appreciate the invitation to the show.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well, Kyle. And I have some people upstairs that came out to.
Oh, okay. Well, tell whoever it is I said what's up because I probably.
One of them is Dula and the other one is George Brightman. So.
Okay. Tell Dula I said what's up.
Will do. Hey, listen, this has been great. Thank you all. I enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you all again.
Okay.
All right.
Hello.
Take care.
So yeah, that was my little 2 cents on that. So
I saw a video I guess earlier this week about 2 young girls. They looked like they were between 18 and 23. And they were having a conversation and toxicity came up and I knew we were going to talk about it. So I listened and she said, one of the girls said to the other that if I don't bring him to this toxic form, then if he becomes toxic, I know that he cares. Like he gets mad at me, gets mad enough at me to become toxic was her, you know, explanation. So she's looking for this toxicity to validate her relationship with this guy. I was kind of mind blown from it.
Wow.
I mean, I've met people like that. I would say that my ex was the exact same way. He actually liked to fight. I don't like to fight. Like, I just rather talk about it, like what's going on. And I don't, you know, I didn't grow up in a household with a lot of drama. So to him, my not engaging in the drama was, you don't care. And I'm like, what do you mean? I just don't want the drama, you know. But like, I guess he was used to like that chick who was like, go get it with you, fight. And to him, that was like love. Like that showed that she cared. And I'm like, no, that's dysfunctional.
Right. Thank you. Miss Brown Eye says, yes, Nikki, people lose who they are once. People lose who they once were because of the familiarity or comfortability. And some are scared of leaving because they feel they won't be able to do without them validating the security. That's kind of sick though. I mean, that goes beyond dysfunctional. That's like sadistic.
I think, I found myself in that relationship. I was really young and I was naive and I didn't know, because that hadn't been a part of my lived experience. I didn't know it existed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know people thought like that. So for me, I spent a good deal of time questioning, like, is it what I see it to be? Like, is this real? Like, because that just had never been my experience. And I had no context for that level of dysfunction. But just like you, Nikki, when I got out of it, it did feel like a weight was lifted, but I did have to go through therapy because it's like, okay, now that I have been exposed to this level of toxicity, how do I move forward and how do I make sure I don't fall into something similar again?
Exactly.
And what I find is that until you deal with yourself, if you have allowed someone who is toxic to manipulate you, those same types of people will come after you and follow you until you learn the lesson or you heal what's going on in you.
You're almost like a magnet.
Yeah, I was so naive. And it's just like, I had to grow up and start to question things a little bit more and be clear on like my own wounds and why I was getting into relationships. But yeah, I mean, I would say that was my last extremely toxic relationship, but that wasn't the last person. I mean, not that exact situation, but toxic person I encountered. Like it took me doing some work as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm sorry. In your relationship, how long did it take you to see that this is toxic, since you didn't come from that in your childhood? Was it a big blow up and you were just like, whoa, this guy is...
So, the first thing in my experience, people who are toxic don't present as toxic when you first meet them.
Exactly.
The Bible says Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So most toxic people are great people persons. They're good communicators. And they're the type of people that you would naturally be attracted to. So I didn't see it right away because it wasn't shown to me right away. But I think the first flags that I saw, I dismissed. I think that's the first thing. There were some flags, and they weren't big things, but they were small controlling things. I think the blow up for me was the grocery store incident. I mean, he was pissed. We're in the parking lot, like, going at it because he's like, he was looking at you. I'm like, I have a pulse, like, and it, it's kind of like the story of the prodigal son. I'm like, wait a minute, like, why am I dealing with this? I had that moment of awakening, but it did take a blow up for me to really kind of string everything together. But there were definitely red flags. They were just small red flags, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the experience and the wisdom to know, then it's easy to overlook.
Mm-hmm.
See the same flags again? Would I overlook them?
No, exactly. It's like, mine was, I got invited to his job and he wanted me to wear, I used to wear messy hair when messy hair was in, and he used to like, me wearing my hair like that. So he called me, he was like, I want you to wear this outfit and I want you to wear your hair messy. Okay. So when I get there, it's like, don't talk to this person, don't talk to that person or whatever. So I'm literally sitting in a corner, and then people, come over to me and introduce me. I'm like, oh, I'm so-and-so's wife, is that and the other. And then after that, it was like, what are you talking to this person about? What are you talking to that person about? And, people were like, oh, I like your hair, I like your outfit. Then he got mad at me for wearing what he wanted me to wear and wearing my hair the way he wanted me to wear it. And it's just like, I sat there feeling like I had done something wrong, and that's the whole thing, with toxic relationships and abusive relationships, is they make you think that you're the problem. That's what a great narcissist does. They make you think that everything is your fault. And if you hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have to react this way, you know? And it messed with my self-esteem for a long time, you know? And it was just like, you know, once I got into counseling, I realized that it wasn't me, you know? But it took a while for the therapist to really convince me that it wasn't me, you know, and, you know, breaking it down, you know, to the root level of, you know, what the issue was and stuff. And it's like now toxic people to me have a bullseye on their back and their forehead. It's like I can spot them a mile away. Just they display certain characteristics, and it's just like, yeah, I ain't gonna mess with that. And like one of my girlfriends, after we were friends for 27 years, and it wasn't until the relationship was over that I realized that it was toxic. It was just like, you know, she was the one with the chronic sarcasm, you know, putting me down or whatever in a joking way. And I just thought that was just who she was. And, you know, the boiling point was, you know, finding out that she was talking about me and Diana, you know, behind my back, you know, and it was just like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. You know, it's just like, it's not healthy, you know? So, and I'm very sensitive, don't like hurting people's feelings. And my thing was, generally when relationships end, I would be really, you know, sensitive. I would cry, I would be upset. I did not shed not one tear with that. That's 27 years. That's a long time to be friends with somebody. But like I said, when you leave and that fog is lifted, it's just like, wow. And I realized that as long as I was dependent on her, everything was fine. When I gained my independence and I started branching out and I started making new friends, that's when the boat started to rock, you know, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, Diana and I were, we were taking the kids to, where were we going, Dee? We were going, it was around Halloween, so we were taking them to like a haunted house or something or whatever. And it was raining and it had rained, it was really muddy. So the ex-friend had called, was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, you know, Diana and I are taking the kids to a haunted house, whatever. Instant attitude. Well, you didn't think that I wanted to go? Well, I mean, most of the time she had, you know, her kids were in sporting activities, so she wasn't available. So I didn't hit her up. It just so the zoo, she says the zoo and haunted houses, right? So she hit me up and I was like, well, they said to get rain boots. So Diana, I was like, well, we got to stop and get some rain boots. So the ex-friend was like, well, go when you get there, call me and grab some for me. I'll just pay you, you know, on meet. Something happened and she couldn't make it. And all of a sudden it was my fault. You know, she just really had a problem with the fact that Dee and I were spending so much time together, but Dee had time to spend with me. She was, you know, busy with her kids and stuff, but it was my fault. So I shouldn't be going out. I shouldn't be having fun because she couldn't have fun. And it was like that, you know, in my marriage. And it was just like, after a while, you just get tired. And it's like you feel heavy because it's like you feel like you're trying to balance all of these, you're juggling balls and you're like, oh my God, I can't let one fall because something's going to happen. Something's going to blow up. And nobody should have to live like that. Nobody should have to live always wondering or walking on eggshells. You know, is this the one where I'm going to get fussed at, or is this the one where they're going to cuss me out, or this, that, and the other? So I'm good.
Yeah, it's, you know, it happens in friendships too. You're right about it. And especially in friendships, like where I see it, oftentimes is the friend who can't celebrate you or be happy for you when something good happens, or they're only happy for you as long as they maintain the upper hand. But if you exceed or you excel them, you can see that there's almost like this anger that comes out and is directed towards you. The minimalization of any of your accomplishments. It's, you know, in friendships, it can be really ugly. And yeah, I've definitely experienced that as well. And you're right, when you let those types of friends go, It's a burden. Yeah, it's a burden lifted. But I think when you are the type that you are giving people, I think naturally attract narcissistic people.
Girl,
You know,
oh my gosh.
it's really important, like if you're a giving person, to grow to be comfortable in saying no, in setting and keeping boundaries, and taking care of yourself. You know, those are really important lessons for people who are givers. But yeah. Prime suspects and targets for narcissistic people.
And one time, this was after I had left, after the divorce or whatever. It was me, Diana, two of our other Diana mutual friends, and then the ex-friend. We had all gone to Rosa Mexicano at the harbor to celebrate my birthday. And everything was going great. And then when we left the restaurant, the ex-friend had pulled me to the back and started talking about my friends. I lost it. And mind you, the ex-friend had drove me to the restaurant. And I was like, you know what? You need to go. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm not going to have you talking about my friends when they're, 20 feet away. That's not what we're going to do. And I was like, I will have one of my friends. And I said to her, I will have one of my friends take me home. And, she got, in her feelings about that. But I'm loyal. And what I will not allow is for anybody that I'm friends with to talk about my other friends. You got to go. You're not doing that, because I don't do that to you and your friends when we hang out with them. So don't do that. And that hurt me. It hurt me a lot, and Diana and I, we're still friends to this day. Diana's very direct. And I remember one time we had an issue. We were at FedEx Field and we had gone to the bathroom and we had washed our hands and I was getting ready to leave. And she was like, so she jumped in front of me. She was like, so you got a problem with me? And I was like, no. And come to find out, one of her friends who didn't like me started this crazy rumor and my dumb butt believed it or whatever. And Diana was like, listen, if I have a problem with you, I'm coming to you. And after that, me and we've been straight. We've been straight, but it's just amazing how these women just try to insinuate themselves, and I think that with, her friend, I don't think she wanted Diana and I to be close, because in her mind, Diana was her friend. And, she didn't want anybody else to get close to Diana. And, when Diana and I talked about it, it was crazy because our two ex-friends had so many characteristics that were the same. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely crazy. Diana says, I've seen that with mothers and fathers. Now that's a truly sad situation. It is. Oh yeah. When the kids start to achieve stuff and then the parents want to tear them down. Absolutely sad. Absolutely sad. Kyle, have you, had any, I don't know, do guys do stuff like that? I know women are famous for it.
Guys are petty. I was thinking while you both were talking about my roommate, I had a roommate about 6 months after I left college. I got out of college and I moved back home and my mom was talking about paying rent. So I was like, I might as well go give me a spot. So I roomed with this guy I went to camp with, and our parents were better friends than we were. Let's put it that way. But I knew him and he was close. So we moved into this apartment in Northern Virginia, and everything it seemed cool probably until about a couple years in. And we had a phone we had to be buzzed in. So our home phone was the buzz in for like pizza or what have you. So our home phone rings and I had ordered a pizza. So I'm thinking it's the pizza person, and it's one of my ex-girlfriends, and she's calling for my roommate. And I was like, oh, okay, Al, here's the phone. It's, whoever her name is, and she's for you. And so, it was a little bit before cell phones. And I was like, oh, okay. So I could see, it wasn't a problem to me because I had stopped dating her. and it just seemed kind of weird because you hadn't spoke on it. So when you don't speak on it, then it seems like it's
Trying
shady.
to hide something, right? Mhm.
Right. So then the guy that lived next door to me also went to college, went to the same college I went to. I didn't know him at Hampton, but I got to know him from him being my neighbor. So anyways, he comes over one day and he brings over his new girlfriend and his daughter and her daughter. And so we're entertaining them, me and my roommate, and he runs back next door to his apartment. And so I'm talking, I think I'm playing with the daughter or what have you. We finished the day and that was it. So the next day he's beating on my door. My next door neighbor is beating on my door. Where's your roommate? What are you? He's not here. What are you talking about? He told his girlfriend why he had gone next door. He was kind of downing him. He was like, "Oh, he told him. I bet G told you about his truck, and I bet you he did this." He said like some disparaging things to these girl that we're just meeting. So he wanted to come in and check him, and so I was like, "Yo, he's not here. Calm down." That's how he is. And so I just told him the story I told you about this girl I was dating that called. I was like, yo, it's who he is. I said, what you found with the benefit is that this girl told you exactly what your buddy said. And, she didn't bite, So right. I said, she won in the situation. There's no need to beat him up. You just know who you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And so, but we took that as a lesson on who we were really dealing with. You know what I mean? And I didn't live with him too much longer. I think after our lease was up, I was kind of done at that point. But I guess it's not being that type of person. It is hard to see until something wakes you up to the fact. Then you'll start seeing little things, where it's a competitive thing, and I see it on a guy end. If a guy goes behind you to mess with or sleep with a girl that he knows you've been with or he knows you've had a relationship with, to me, that's nothing but a competitive thing. And you can't be in a competition with somebody that doesn't know they're in a competition. So then it's a toxicity thing. You're too obsessed with what I got going on. So, that was the biggest thing. The thing that came to mind is that it didn't affect me the way it affected you, Lay. So I didn't want to, kind of give it that same importance, but the toxicity was there. And with more time and giving him more opportunity, who knows what would happen.
Wow. So dudes are messy too. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and end here. Want to thank everybody, Miss Brown Eyes, everybody, Todd, for chiming in and giving us, their opinion and their take on stuff. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back next week. Guess we'll have do some readings next week. Can't wait to see what he says. So thank you guys. Hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Yeah.